After 2 years of waiting, we finally got the 6th season of Outlander. But the 8 episodes flew by so quickly, and so many questions were left unanswered. Many fans couldn't help but wonder if there would be a season 7 of Outlander. Well, dinna be afraid, the 7th season is already in the works and expected to air in early 2023. So here's our list of the best and the worst episodes so far. The best episodes. We'll start off our list with the best episodes of Outlander according to fans and critics. If you're about to start binge watching the entire series, these are the ones to look forward to. Before we begin, here's the mandatory spoiler warning for all of you new fans. Click away now if you haven't watched all the episodes yet. With that said, let's dive into it. First, the wedding. Kicking things off on our list is episode number 7 of the first season. We finally got to see the arranged marriage between Jamie and Claire, which was something all of us were looking forward to. We got to see moments from their first night together and the two of them connecting and learning more about each other. We also saw glimpses of how Claire met and wedded Frank, which made the night even more surreal for her. This episode displayed the loyalty of Jamie as he told Claire that he married her so she could have the protection of his clan, something that would nearly cost him his life later on. The on-screen chemistry of the stars was on point, and this episode was hot with all caps. If you're a fan of the show, there's no way you haven't rewatched this one at least once. Next up is A. Malcolm. This was the 6th episode of season 3. The events of A. Malcolm were very long awaited because even though we waited 6 episodes for the reunion of Claire and Jamie, it actually took them 20 years to see each other again after Jamie sent her back to the 1960s to protect her from the war. We could see the genuine happiness and excitement they felt upon seeing each other. Felt like nothing was wrong in the world after all that. The directors did a great job of keeping things pretty relatable, like Jamie fainting upon seeing Claire as it was unexpected, and hitting her nose while they made love, which made it even cuter as it wasn't all smooth and unrealistic. It was a wholesome episode that made us happy for the pair as they started catching up on the events of the last 20 years of their lives. Could it get more romantic? Now on to Of Lost Things. At number 3, we have the severely underrated episode that never gets the credit it's deserved. The 4th episode of the 3rd season played a tremendous role in shaping up the future of the characters and the show's plot in general. Jamie is serving out his time in Hellwater, but he keeps getting screwed over by his own past. Geneva blackmails Jamie into sleeping with her as she's been promised to an older man. She didn't want that man to be her first time, so she turns to Jamie, but she gets pregnant in that encounter and dies during childbirth. Jamie now has a second child whom he can't raise and is taken by Geneva's sister. We see the impact of all these events many episodes later when young Willie comes into Jamie's life later on. In the 1960s, we see Brianna and Claire get closer and the relationship between Brianna and Roger develops. All in all, one of the best episodes for the development of the story. Up next is The Birds and the Bees. The runner-up on our list is season 4, episode 9. Brianna finally gets to travel to the past so she could warn her parents about the fire, something she's desperately wanted to do for a long time. Her journey had been tough to say the least. She got injured and molested when she got into the 1700s. Things took a turn for the better as she finally got to see her folks in this episode. Her encounter with her father started off as very awkward because he thought she was a prostitute, but it turned into an emotional moment between the two. Can't give enough credit to the cast as all these scenes were very well played and made up for one great episode. And now we have The Dragonfly in Amber. Yep, you probably saw this one coming from a mile away. The season 2 finale checked all the boxes for what makes an episode great. In this episode, Brianna was brought into the picture for the first time, who's Jamie and Claire's daughter. We're also introduced to Roger in Scotland, who becomes a big part of the show's future episodes. We see one of the most heartbreaking moments on TV as Jamie's forced to send Claire to the 1960s to protect her from the upcoming battle. The perfect ending that left enough mystery for us to come back for more. The worst episodes. This list was a lot harder to make, and before some of you get mad, we love this show just as much as you do, but some of them were just not as good as others. Keep watching as we break down why these episodes weren't on point like some of our favorite ones. Here we go. First, Not in Scotland Anymore. At number 5, we got the 2nd episode of season 2. This episode showed Jamie struggling with PTSD and it affected his relationship with Claire. The first episode is the first time we get to see the Paris look on the show, which was delightful to watch for the fans who've read the books. The infamous red dress was shown for the first time. The story, however, displeased a number of fans as it looked looked like the writers were taking Claire and Jamie's relationship in a different direction. The scenes involving Bonnie Prince Charlie were very absolutely cringeworthy and annoying. The character was supposed to be imitating a royal Scottish figure, but it was pretty hard to take him seriously. All in all, this episode was quite underwhelming with almost nothing too great to remember. Now, The Search. We're giving the 4th place to the 14th episode of season 1. Now, this one was kinda weird because the episode was just a collection of a number of scenes that could have easily been fit into other episodes. For the generation that grew up on Netflix, it's odd, but sometimes the producers have to make these kinds of episodes because of budget issues. The Search was one of those fillers. In this episode, Jamie had been captured by the British, and a search begins for him. Yada yada yada, we know how it goes, but we shouldn't because it's just the 1st season. Now saying that this episode didn't have some good moments, like we saw Jamie and Claire's relationship develop, but overall it was pretty uneventful. Except for Claire's performance that made many of us want to forward the scene. Thank God for Netflix, right? Next we have Sassenach. Surprisingly, the very first episode of Outlander is one of the lowest rated ones and what many of the fans consider one of the worst episodes. Sassenach was nothing more than an introduction to that world and all the great characters that we fall in love with later on. The reason why most people watch the show is the relationship between Jamie and Claire, but they tried to take it slow in the pilot in order to keep the readers happy. The episode showed Claire finding herself in the wrong timeline after her 2nd honeymoon. Perhaps it was destiny, as it later gets her to the love of her life. A decent episode, but nothing to be excited for. The good thing to know is that the show only gets better from here. Now for The Fox's Lair. Losing the spot for the worst episode by a very thin margin is the 8th episode of season 2. Claire and Jamie finally leave Paris and return to Scotland, away from all the nightmares they had to face. They had peace for a second until it goes downhill again. The fans had high expectations from this one. This was supposed to be their new beginning. Maybe we wanted to see them stay out of trouble for a while. The addition of Jamie's grandpa wasn't very well received. We also saw Langhair being added to the show, who to many people's surprise was not adopted from the books. Perhaps that's what got the fans so riled up. And finally, creme de menthe. We saved the best for last. Well, not exactly. The 17th episode of season 2 is the worst rated episode of Outlander, and for good reason. In the previous episode, we'd seen Jamie and Claire reunite after 20 years, which made this episode very well anticipated and with big shoes to fill. The episode was a total lackluster, especially in the love department, which was the one thing we were all dying to see. What should have been the two lovebirds trying to reconnect, we saw a total absence of chemistry between them. The addition of a bunch of filler scenes that made no contribution to the story's progress made it even worse, and for that, most people gave this one lower ratings than any other episode. Oh, how much we care about the fantasy world. That's a wrap for this video. What's your personal favorite episode, Sassenach? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.